in for one final time, and welcome to the RTK Aftershow. I am one of the co-creators, Perry.
And I'm Landon. Thanks so much for joining with us. It's been a good journey.
It really has.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun going through all of these episodes together. Hopefully a satisfying finale. Perry, talk us through kind of the fight. Well, let's go back. I mean, the fight more at the beginning. I think it was kind of a fun closure moment for Vera.
Totally.
Talk about that.
Oh, yes. Back to the Laboa. One more little moment with Old Man Herman, of course. And then you've got the fight with the Moyako. You've got Vera being a hero and just getting a little bit of her own little diversion from Auric's journey, Auric's arc here in the end. And it's just really fun to get to see all that come together, get to see Urku lead his people and just do something really cool. I thought the Moyako was maybe one of the cooler sound design things in the whole show.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then that kind of wrapped up Vera's arc, wrapping up Auric's arc. A really powerful moment with him, his dad, and his grandpa. Talk about kind of some of the things that we really tried to put into that scene.
Yeah. Right before they go into battle with Saffron, the 1v1, and when Auric, accepts the title of chief, it's just so powerful. We fiddled around with this scene so long, and we were like, what do we do? What's powerful enough? What makes sense? And I pitched the idea of what if he makes him chief? And then that's the chief has to fight, and it just started to work out and started to make sense. And it created this beautiful scene where Yannick strips away his previous title of Kosan and gives him the title of chief. And which is such a cool connection to, when we become followers of Christ. Our old self, our old title is stripped away, and all that we're seen as is God's children. And it's such a cool thing. The title change that can't be, it's just, this is what you are. You are now chief.
Yeah.
And so I love that.
And I think what stands out to me about that is if you were to back up, I don't know, maybe a couple lines, it's this moment where the king is kind of starting to allude to, Auric should be chief, and Yannick's like, what? And then he's like, wait, no, I know what you're saying, and I don't agree. And I think for Auric, that's very interesting because the thing that he's been hearing on a loop in his brain ever since episode 1 is, you'll make me proud one day. You're not ready. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's something that we talked about this on the last episode. He kind of got from his dad. Like when we learned in episode 4, the king asked Yannick, wait, you're not ready yet. And even though that was said to him in wisdom, that's been passed down, and Auric is feeling the weight of that. And so for Yannick to say those words like, no, father, don't, like Auric isn't ready yet, that's got to just crush Auric down. But then for him to eventually relent and the king to kind of show him, and what does Yannick say? It's like
he says, if there's anything I know about your father, is he knows when people are ready.
Yeah. Or your grandfather, the king.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's a really great line. This whole story, I think we'll find to tip our hand a little bit, is kind of, a retelling of a story of one of the parables that Jesus told, the parable of the prodigal son. I don't know if you picked up on it along the way. And really, this came from a lot of things that you and I had been talking about, but I think I really identify with a lot of what's going on in that I feel like, if I'm honest, I can be the worst of both sons. I kind of talked about earlier on, man, I want to make God proud, and I feel immense shame when I don't do that, and I know I've messed up and my sin is like staring me right in the face. And on the other hand, when I'm doing really well, I can get prideful, kind of like Magnus was, and I can feel like, I'm doing pretty good. I'm a pretty good Christian. I've got things going on. I'm not as bad as them or as bad as them. And then that just sets me up for a failure, and it's just this kind of ping pong back and forth. And so it really takes kind of what you were talking about is just reality. It's like, no, like your identity as a son, you don't need to perform. You need to live in a right relationship. And that's what Yannick learns kind of by the end. And hopefully Magnus will learn if he hasn't yet.
Yeah.
We kind of left that open-ended.
What happens to Magnus?
Yeah.
That's the question.
That is the question. Yeah, I mean, Jesus leaves that pretty open-ended with the older brother, just like, hey, where'd he go?
Yeah.
And it's kind of thing supposed to make you think, oh man. So,
yeah. A lot of us, I think, feel like he's justified. But then, based on the king's response, that's not what's important is not necessarily the same thing.
And we tried hard to make Magnus relatable, and I think he is in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of good meaning believers out there who are trying really hard, trying to do all the right things, and but that's a works-based mentality, and that's not the gospel.
Yeah. And just an excellent performance too by Josh Nicholson. Well, I think you said it really well, talking about the prodigal son. And something important to know about the parable and to keep in mind is how the father responds at the end to the son coming back. It's what is important is not what he went and did. It's the identity that he has as the son. And the fact that nothing that he did changed the fact that he was the son. When he left, he was the son. When he came back, he was the son. And that's how God sees us. And if it wasn't, then Jesus wouldn't have used the parable, and it's just one of those things that I think we often forget. We like to turn around, we like to run the opposite direction, and we think that when we come to our senses and we turn around to look back at God, that he's miles away. But the reality is he's just right there. He's the same distance he was when we were there. He appreciates that we apologize for what we have done.
Yeah, repentance. It's the heart. It's the relationship. Yeah.
So you really see that too with what Yannick does here at the end, and he wants to be with his father. Everything changes. He at the threat of imprisonment, he decides, I'm going to go back to my father. Yeah. So it's just a beautiful ending, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed it. We just put our heart and soul into it, had a lot of fun with it, and we really hope that it created some meaningful moments for you. Parents, maybe you had the opportunity to have some conversations with your kids that open some doors. Yeah. That's the hope. That's our heart.
Yeah, no, just thanks so much for joining us. We've had a ton of fun recording these along the way, as well as making the show. And if you liked it, let us know.
If you liked our show, please go leave us a 5-star review wherever you listened. I know Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can go leave us a review there. Tell us if you want more. Let us know. You can go to the Jesus Film socials. You can go to the FamilyLife socials. Those will be in the description down below. As always, there will be some discussion questions. And, of course, a big thanks from all of us at the Jesus Film Project and FamilyLife.